Well, welcome to the channel. As you know, we like to travel, and one of the things that Heidi and I did this last February was we went to Budapest and we took a cooking class on how to do chicken paprikesh, which is a traditional dish. Now we've tweaked it a little bit just because we like to change our diet a little bit, and some things are a little harder to find. Pretty easy, but it does take a little bit of time to do. It's a very delicious dish, especially on a cold, wet day. Things we're going to need for ingredients: tablespoon of butter, a little bit of olive oil, some chicken thighs. Now, traditionally, they put the chicken thighs in the dish whole with the skin and everything on there, but we decided we wanted it without the skin and bones, a little easier to eat that way. It's already cut up into small pieces. A sweet onion, about a cup to two, a cup of sweet red pepper, a cup of some Roma tomatoes that are chopped up in pieces, some garlic, pepper, and the key ingredients. Hungarian dishes use paprika, and if you don't know, paprika is actually formed from peppers, and there's sweet paprika and there's hot paprika. Now, we tend to use the sweet paprika, and that's the traditional way of doing it, but if you want to use the hot paprika, you can. I have some Hungarian paprika already here, and one of the things that I ordered from Amazon is paprika paste. We use this there also. The recipe does call for salt, but this particular paprika paste has a lot of salt in it, and we tend to use a lot less salt in our diet. So I'm going to omit the salt, but I'll be posting the recipe in the comment section. But this is a really good thing to get. We're probably going to use about half of this tube. The other thing that goes with the chicken paprikesh are Hungarian dumplings. Now, in order to make them, they're kind of like spatzel, German spatzel. You're going to need to have one of these devices. Again, a nice thing to order from Amazon. So we're going to be mixing up the dumplings and cooking them in the boiling water with this thing. So before you start this dish, you are going to need, again, the paprika paste and the spatzel maker. So first things first, what we're going to do is turn on the stove, and I'm going to put the tablespoon of butter and some olive oil in here. Let it get nice and hot, and then we're going to add our chicken thighs. Now, I used 4 boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Again, you can adjust the recipe if you have more people or less people. It's just the 2 of us. So about 2 chicken thighs is about all we're going to probably eat. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the chicken thighs in here, and we're going to let it brown for about 4 minutes. That cook for about 4 minutes, and then we'll start adding all of the other ingredients. Now, one of the things that I thought was interesting was they don't really have a lot of cheese in Hungary. It's just not a common thing for them. But they do have sour cream, and they use it a lot. So at the very end, we're going to be adding some sour cream to this dish to make it really that creamy sauce that's so delicious. It kind of reminds me a little bit of beef stroganoff, except with chicken, and obviously everything else is different. So I've already added the onions. The chicken cooked for about 4 minutes. I turned it over. I added the onions, and it's on about medium heat. And about 6 to 8 minutes for the onions till they start getting a little bit caramelized. And it's already getting a little bit of juice to it. We're going to cook that down. It was an interesting trick. We actually organized the cooking class through Viator, and the guy, we actually met him at the market in Budapest, which was really nice. We toured, we got some ingredients, he taught us a little bit more about the cooking and stuff. Then we actually went back to his apartment. He had a big, huge kitchen, and it was just Heidi and I and one other guy, and then the director. Okay, so that's cooking down really nice. We're going to get to the point where we're going to be letting this simmer for about 45 minutes later on once all the ingredients are in. So at this point in time, I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit. I'm going to add the equivalent of 2 cloves of garlic to it. We're going to add our red bell pepper and our Roma tomatoes. And we're going to be adding about 2 cups of chicken broth. We have a very small and efficient kitchen. Now, you can make your own chicken broth, or you can buy it store-bought like this, or you can actually do the concentrated bouillon. And there we go. So we're going to add that in there, let that cook a little bit longer. And we're going to let this go until all of it kind of, the flavors start meshing together. So about 2 to 3 minutes, let that cook. I'm going to start adding the seasonings to it. That will include the paprika, the pepper, and I guess that's about it. Now, over there they used both the powdered paprika and the paprika paste. If you want to try it just with one and not the other one, you can, but we've just found that the combination is just a really good flavor. I can't read any of the label here, so I can't tell you the actual product name or anything. I just know that I got it directly off from Amazon. It just says Authentic Universal Puros Aron. So it's a sweet, mild paprika paste. Alexa, stop timer. So we'll let that go for a little bit more, and then we're going to add in our spices. So I'm going to want to add probably about a couple teaspoons of the powdered paprika. Now, I did ask him, because one of the things I always used to cook with was smoked Hungarian paprika. And I asked him, it's like, well, do you use that? And he's like, no, we only use that for barbecue. It's like, okay, so just use the sweet paprika. That's the pepper paste. Now, again, I'm probably going to be adding about half of this tube for the one batch. And it is very concentrated flavor, kind of like the consistency of a tomato paste, but again, there's no tomatoes in this. It's just red peppers. And Hungarian peppers are a little different than what we get here in the United States. They are definitely unique in flavor. The soil that's there, the atmosphere, everything adds to giving that and just a really, really nice character that they're just well known for. All right, so now I have all of these ingredients in here. This is the point where I have to let it simmer. So I'm going to be turning the heat down to low. I'm going to be letting it go for about 45 to 60 minutes until the chicken starts to get really tender and the flavors start to really coalesce. Now, while that's going, right before I start adding in the sour cream and a little bit of flour to thicken it, I'll be heating up my pot of water over here and mixing up the spatzel, so the Hungarian dumplings. Now, for that, there's basically in this bowl I have about a teaspoon of salt and 2 eggs, 3/4 of a cup of water. And once I've mixed all of that up really nicely, I'm going to be adding up to 2 cups of flour. Now it's going to have to be the consistency of like a pancake batter, so not runny, because then as I go through this these holes, it would just stream on through, and I wouldn't be able to, I'd get long strings instead of the nice small dumplings that I want. But you also don't want it too thick, otherwise it won't go through there very well. But anyway, we're going to turn the heat down, we're going to let this simmer, I'm going to enjoy all the smells. I've got a loaf of homemade French bread that I just got out of the oven. I already taste tested it, so I know it's really good. So that's going to be my nice accompaniment to tonight's dinner. And see you in a minute. Okay, so I've covered this. I've let it simmer for about 45-50 minutes, tested it, and it looks like everything's pretty good. Occasionally I've stirred it, and I did a taste test on it, and it's tasting really good. All the flavors are starting to mix together. So we're ready for the final stage for this. In the meantime, I've also got my water boiling, salted water boiling for the dumplings. So in this step, what we're going to do is we're going to take about 3/4 of a cup of sour cream, and we're going to add 3 tablespoons of flour. Now the reason we're doing it here is we're going to be making an emulsion and then gradually adding it to the sauce there. If I try to add it directly in, what happens is that flour is just going to clump, and it's going to be a mess. So I also have a whisk ready to use. So let's get it going. And so this is going to make like a really kind of a thick paste. And we're going to want to add this in kind of gradually, because as it warms up and that flour starts releasing its gluten, it's going to start thickening our sauce here. So we want to put that in right now and gradually whisk it. We don't want it to be lumpy. Kind of the same process that we would use in making a gravy. It's going to cool it down a little bit, which is good. We don't want to put it directly into boiling water. It would curdle right away. Now, after I add this, we're going to let this continue to simmer for about 3 to 4 minutes, and then it'll be done. So I want to get the rest of this in here. And notice I've been using paper plates. I don't like to do dishes too much. So stir this in. Make sure it's all mixed really well. This is absolutely one of our new favorite dishes that we like to have. I don't know calorie count or anything like that. I haven't done any calculations on it, but it's a pretty healthy dish, obviously. A lot of vegetables and chicken. Okay, so that's pretty mixed. I'm going to cover it back up and let that go for another 3 or 4 minutes. Now, what I've done over here is I added the flour gradually to my mixture of water and 2 eggs with a little bit of salt. And you can see I've got it about the consistency of pancake batter. Now, you can always add a little bit more water in there. I wanted to make a good amount of noodles because I wanted some left over. So that, Alright, so what I'm going to be doing is putting it into this hopper and then moving it really quickly. And you can see that shows up nicely, that the dumplings are falling through those holes in the bottom of this. Sometimes this works better if you've got 2 people. One person scooping that in there and the other person doing that motion. Now, these are going to boil in the water for roughly 5 minutes. You can tell when they're done because they're going to float up to the top. And once that is done, we're going to drain those, rinse them with cold water, and then toss them with just a little bit of oil to prevent them from sticking. And then there's done. So that's your dumplings. There's your chicken paprikesh, and you put as much as you want to with it. Some people, if you don't want to make these right here, it might be nice with just egg noodles. Something really simple and easy that you can make. You don't have to buy one of these things to get this, or you can buy spatzel. But it's pretty cheap and easy to make once you have this thing. If you do get this, just to let you know, rinse it off right away, because once that dumpling starts to cook or dry on there, it's really hard to get off. So make sure to rinse it. But that's it. That's chicken paprikesh. Very delicious dish. This is how they make it in Hungary. I'm hoping to do a couple more of these videos and teach you some of the things that we've learned as we've traveled around and taken cooking classes. Enjoy.